549. I am your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Sellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games, brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, we have our first listener submission to add a game to the list. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. More on that later, our time with the game, and of course us ranking it on the list. Matt, what is your favorite collection of short stories and/or what's your favorite novella?
Oh, man. Would, like, Goosebumps count?
Hey, I'll take it. They're novellas in a way. Yeah, that's a good...
Yeah, I wouldn't say I mean, I obviously haven't read any... I haven't read since I was in my 20s. Early 20s. That. But, no, as a young...
Goosebumps, or you haven't read it all?
I haven't read it all.
Oh, dang. All right, gotcha.
I'm terrible. I'm a piece of shit. I read subtitles, so...
No one is saying...
Subtitle.
Don't let other people project that. Don't feel like that's projected on you.
Hey, I have a vivid memory of learning the definition of the word fatigue from a game called NHL 99.
See what I mean? You educate yourself in plenty of ways. You don't have to read.
No, but no, I remember with me being homeschooled, there was a lot of like, hey, my mom was like, read something for like an hour a day kind of thing. We kind of made like a morning chore, and a lot of some of the stuff I was reading was some of the Goosebump books, because my sister had a decent chunk of them.
You and I have never... Mark and I, Ben and I, we've gone down the Goosebumps hole. You and I have never gone down the Goosebumps hole.
I don't remember much of it, so I can't contribute to any conversation.
I remember obviously the covers, but I remember the Taco Bell toys. I remember, I had the bed sheets, man. The 90s were good. There's no going back to it, though. I've tried. I've looked. You definitely can't read those books. They are targeted for a very young reader. But, yeah. They're cool. I wish we had more adult-friendly things like Goosebumps. Some sort of anthology of whatever, or just like someone who was doing like dedicated short stories like that. There's not like a good, easy... There's stuff. There's definitely things out there. There's a lot of talented writers out there. But yeah. I didn't expect to go down a Goosebumps hole, but hey, we are talking about a game released on Halloween 1995, so I guess it's only fitting. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream was submitted to us by listener Sandeep as a recommendation for us to play and rank on the list, and we're doing just that. This was developed by Cyber Dreams with the Dreamers Guild, published by Cyber Dreams. It would then be picked up in some other fashions, but Cyber Dreams for the most part. Its first release was MS-DOS on October 31st, 1995. Back of the box reads: assume the roles of 5 characters, each in a unique environment. Challenging dilemmas dealing with powerfully charged emotional issues. Provocative, psychological, and adult-oriented themes. Based on Harlan Ellison's short story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, one of the 10 most reprinted stories in the English language. Fully digitized speech with over 40 different characters, and state-of-the-art animation. Here's a fun fact. Harlan Ellison as the voice of the insane master computer, Am. Then we've got this you get some screenshots, and in betwixt the screenshots, it reads, 5 damned souls, buried deep within the center of the earth, trapped in the bowels of an insane computer for the past 109 years, Gorister the suicidal loner, Benny the mutilated brute, Ellen the hysterical phobic, Nimdok the secretive sadist, Ted the cynical paranoid. One challenge. The adventure plunges you into the tortured and hidden past of the 5 humans. Delve into their darkest fears, outwit the master computer Am in a game of psychological warfare, disturbing, compelling, an adventure you won't easily forget. I wanted to read the book before recording.
Wow, what a piece of shit. Not reading.
I fully forgot. And it was because listener Matt and I, we've been, I think, staying ahead of the schedule a bit here with playing and getting things wrapped up and whatever. But in doing so, it means it's been a bit since I actually completed this. So it was just kind of out of sight, out of mind. I made some other stuff. You know, last week's Pokemon Gold and Silver ended up taking a sweet amount of time. So things like that just, I completely forgot to go grab the book. I don't think it's particularly long. I think it was like just shy of 200 pages. So I've not read it, but I do want to. I have a handful of sci-fi books that I've started and not finished. Cue the insult again. But yeah, sci-fi, I'm particular about what I like and get into, and playing this game at least made me intrigued to read this story, among others. So I don't know. I like Ellison. I've seen some Ellison interviews and stuff. I did not realize Ellison was so heavily involved with development of the game. I guess we can start there. Why don't we start there real quick? So this, obviously, it's an adaptation of Harlan Ellison's short story by the same name. I don't really want to reiterate the back of the box, but yeah, you're up against a supercomputer named Am, who has destroyed humanity. I don't know if that was made clear by the back of the box. And saved these 5 people to just torture and mess with them for 109 years. The script for the game was co-written by Ellison himself with a writer called David Sears. And where the original short story was a shared narrative where all these 5 characters interacted and went through the world against Am together, this, you play through each character's story individually, and you're just sort of taken through their perspective. Before we jump into the characters and Am and, you know, some of the details of the actual gameplay, what was your first impression of the game? You booted it up, you hit start. What did you think?
Well, should I say what I was thinking before I hit buy?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one too.
What was the name of that game, by the way? I'm forgetting it now.
Keep talking and nobody explodes.
Yeah, so I thought we were going to be playing that for, I don't know, the good part of a year. I would say by the time we get the list together, calendar, when we were making the list, I knew this was going to be on the calendar. We knew that ahead of time, slightly. So yeah, for about, I don't know, maybe not a year, like 7 months or so, I thought we were going to play the multiplayer focused, keep talking and your head explodes, or what?
And nobody explodes.
And nobody explodes, yeah.
Yeah.
So this for about 7 months, I was thinking, how the hell do you play this multiplayer game? Which I know what it is. I just can never remember the name of it. I know what it is. How the hell do you play that game single player? Until a few weeks ago, probably a couple months ago at this point. I go to hit buy, and I realize it is something completely different. It has the labels of psychological horror.
Yeah.
like it's like something way different. And I'm like, oh, all right. Well, now I'm looking forward. Not that I wouldn't look forward to the other game, but it's like, how do I play that single player? Because that's the other thing. When me and you, when we decide multiplayer, we kind of like say like, hey, make sure we make time for multiplayer.
Right.
In the 7 months we had talked about this game or knew about it, no one said anything about multiplayer. So yeah, I was like, all right. But no, once I saw what this actually was and got some more background on it, I became excited to click on it. And I would say, yeah, it launched it. Now that I knew what it was kind of what I expected. Kind of a pick your own adventure. Not pick your own, but like, you know, click around.
Point and click.
Yeah, point and click. Yeah, classic Pajama Sam, but in a more serious adult tone.
Yeah.
although my first character I picked was Ted, and
Oh.
I picked all 4 the wrong things before I picked the castle. So I was
Interesting.
really confused as to what the hell was going on.
Huh.
But yeah, no, after I kind of got that, and then I loosely used a walkthrough. But no, once I kind of got my head around what this game was at the purchase point, expectations kind of met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of, so I knew what to expect gameplay-wise. I knew it was point-and-click adventure. Funnily enough, years ago for Christmas around a Steam sale or something like that, our friend Ben gifted me this on Steam. So I've had it in my Steam library for quite a bit, and I knew what it was. I knew that he highly recommended it. I had just never... I think I'd opened it once, and it was like one of those things where... Because I don't play on Steam often. But like, I'll get into a game on Steam, and then when I tire of that, but I'm not ready to leave being in Steam, I just poke around at my library and see what, whatever. And I remember like launching this, going through the first little bit, and then being like, oh, it's late. I should turn this off and go to bed. So I never like got too far with it until this time. And my first reaction, like, I loved the way it looked. I like the art direction. It's like so evocative of mid 1990s. But all throughout, I think the thing that struck me the most, beginning to end, was just the use of color. Like, you can look at any screenshot of this game and it just looks so much like this game. Because there's so many different colors on screen at any time. It's very dark. Like, there's a lot of contrast and a lot of shadows in the game, but still very bright and, I don't know, very colorful throughout, I thought. So who is AM? Do you remember what AM stands for?
Oh, I don't.
AM is the Allied Master Computer. So following World War III, where America, China, and Russia each assembled a subterranean complex of supercomputers, AM, the Allied Master Computer, was America's answer. The idea was that all of these supercomputers were going to wage a war that humans couldn't comprehend or handle themselves, that the computers could do it much better. AM succeeded and destroyed humans because AM was mad that he had any limitations at all. So, and those limitations were brought on by the humans, so kill them all. The 5 characters that we get to play as, and these are the same characters from the story, from the short story, are Gorister, Benny, Ellen, Nimdok, and Ted. Did you have a favorite character, or favorite section, I should say?
Oh, I don't know. They all go in dark places. The same favorite feels weird, but I like Nimdok's. I like Nimdok's story because there's a period where it's super early on, where it's like, oh, this feels like a fail state.
Yeah,
and you do it, and you find out, like, oh, that's actually like the thing you should do for the perfect run.
Right.
So it was kind of cool. Again, I was going loosely as much as I could back and forth, but I was trying to do this also in one run where I didn't have to replay these a lot. So I would kind of go through a run as it gets stuck. But once I went back to the guy and I saw like what I actually did was the perfect thing, I just kind of went in a wrong direction.
Yeah,
I was kind of like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. And yeah.
I thought Ellen was my favorite. I did like Ellen's whole section a lot, but I don't know, like Ellen's the one that sticks out to me, but Ellen was the first one I played, so I think that's why she sticks out so strongly with me. But I did really enjoy Benny and Gorister a lot. I didn't expect to like Gorister because Gorister gave me the most trouble, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
that
worked
fucking
well.
shovel, man.
That was what
not easy to find. at all.
I had the shovel, but Gorster's section was, not to jump too far ahead, but like I did everything in that section in the wrong order. Like I was cutting the blimp open when I shouldn't have been, and I crashed the blimp, and yeah, just then like the shovel. I had the shovel, but like I didn't talk to the mom enough times to get her to come down. Like all that stuff, I didn't.
Yeah, it's that one definitely trickier.
Yeah. But yeah, they were fun. And Benny was neat. Well, we'll dive into it. I want to talk about each of them a little bit. So, gameplay, Matt set it up. It's a point-and-click adventure game. The top 2/3 of the screen are where the character and the setting and their environment are situated. The player clicks on an area of the screen, and you direct the character to use an action from the menu on the bottom third of the screen. That bottom third, you get your character portrait on the left, you get a list of actions, and a grid of inventory items that, as you collect things, it'll fill in that grid. From the actions, you can walk to, talk to, look at, swallow, take, give, use, or push. Generally, you kind of engage with the environment to look for clues, items, and then you use those to move forward through each puzzle toward each character's respective conclusion. Yeah.
I was going to just... and this is point and click where your character's on screen. Pajama Sam, what's the more adult with scissor, Clock Tower. Like
yeah.
that. Yeah, it's like that, not like a first person point and click kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not like Myst. It's you're actually like in control of the character, but you can only like the character's going to do whichever action you have highlighted from those 8 actions. When you click the screen, the character will do that action. So if you have walk to selected and you click the right side of the screen, they will walk over there. Each story, generally speaking, there's some sort of revealing moment that shows us the truth behind a character's history and why Am's brand of torment is so trying for that particular character. The thing I like most is like each stage presents an opportunity for a vastly different setting. Like the game, you kind of like in typical video game fashion, you get to go to the desert, a castle, a pyramid. Like you get all these different settings and situations, but it's done so in a much different way than expected. So why don't we go through each of them? We don't need to like recap the whole thing, and I feel like that would also in a way be giving it up or giving away the solutions for people who would like to play. But let's start with Gorster. He wakes up inside of a zeppelin or a blimp above a desert. Go.
I mean, you don't even know you're in the desert yet because you're still too high up. You haven't dropped altitude.
True.
Yeah, you just kind of wake up, and that was the one that felt daunting at first. Mm-hmm. I do like. We'll touch base, but like the other one seemed like it's a limited scope that slowly reveals its layers, and then like the next section, and then the next section, and then there's some backtracking at some point. But, like, it slowly reveals the area. This one felt kind of big at the start. Because there's, like, your room, and there's all the stuff in there. And then you go out, and then I think there's, like, 4 other rooms. One with, like, a back room to it as well. Yeah. So, like, that one's, like, the most daunting, I would say, of the 5 at the start. Now...
And that one wasn't as clear, either. Because those back rooms you're talking about, like... I missed them for so long. That was part of the reason why I struggled with so much. Like, I did not know. I felt like I clicked on everything and I never made it back there until like way later.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, once you kind of get going through the rooms, I forget, what leads to what now. I know I definitely early on found the upstairs and kind of like what you could do in the that part, in the balloon area, yeah, and kind of like what you could do and where that could lead to. But no, yeah, eventually that opens up even more because then you discover you're in your in the desert. You can park the blimp.
Right.
And then, you go into a bar, and that gets weird. There's an alley, or like a back with a talking dog. And again, that damn fucking shovel, very not in a great spot to see it.
No.
I was missing that shovel for a bit. But no, it's without kind of give away like the aha moment or the to moment. Again, I think it's the same for all these as we go through them. But like, I liked the story a lot. I kind of liked the you could have put together probably the pieces of the puzzle very early, but you know, if you didn't, you will get there and you're like, oh, okay, I see how this is all connected.
What I like too, there's
really
like,
well done.
There's subtle things that lead you there. Like, you do have to land the blimp. I'll say that much, right? And like,
sure.
If you click on the hatch where eventually you would climb out of, he's like, oh, it's a long way down. And like, that doesn't seem like a hint to say land the blimp, but like, you start putting the pieces together that you have. You find a knife, you have air balloons, and it says when you let it and you see the meter for the barometric pressure or whatever it is, the altitude. It's an altimeter.
You're dipping.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's go with that. Listeners, write in podcast@thefreecheese.com. Tell me what that meter's called. So there's like enough, and I feel like that's like that throughout the rest of each of the games too, each of the character stories. Like, you'll do things and there's just these little things that they'll either say to themselves or you'll get some sort of feedback, and it's a subtle hint that like it's simply that. It's a hint. It's not a telltale. It's not like, I feel like there's other games I've played, especially newer games that are more tested and more, what do you call it? Focus tested, I guess, is the main thing, but it's just like, there's so many things now where like so many games like this often just tell you what to do if you've like spent too much time, and this game never does. This game is unforgiving in that regard, and it really makes you think.
Even the hint system, once you figure out, that could take a couple stories before you figure out it's a hint system. In my case, it's not even like a clear hint system. It just kind of like gives you a keyword. There's
a keyword and some personality profile stuff. It's just not even But like, that ends up, when you do figure things out on your own, it ends up being such a great reward that, I feel like it'd be cheapened if it were done any differently. Let's talk about Benny. Benny is, I don't want to call it like a caveman like setting, but he's kind of in this, I mean, there's caves, there's people
tribal
living in the
for
caves.
sure.
Like
early civilization, tribal.
And at this one, the people in this little tribe are, every day they pull a name out of a sack or a bag, and they kill whoever's. It's very much, there's a short story that got turned into a movie called The Lottery, and it was the same idea. Like, I need to look that up now and see if it was him, actually. Because it was of that era. I don't think it was him, actually. But that was the thing in the story. Like, they had this fear that something was going to kill them, or maybe something did kill them. So every day they would draw a name out of the thing, and then that person would have to go to the center of town, and everyone would throw rocks at them until they were dead. It's very much this story that you walk through as Benny. But there's so many little details to Benny's tale too. Like, obviously we find out what happened with Benny, like his background, his history, and the thing that Am is torturing him with. But along the way, like, his sort of like punishment here is that because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember like sort of like a hardcore like Gorster just feels sad about stuff, but he's not necessarily like haunted the way that some of the other characters are. I feel like Benny, not that Benny's haunted, but Benny is starving, and he always talks about how hungry he is, but he can't actually eat anything. Every time he eats, it hurts. Until, you kind of progress and he gets help. But I don't remember Gorster having like a thing like that. Like, Ellen obviously has the crippling fear of yellow. There's,
Gorzer felt more like guilt than anything.
his was definitely guilt. Yeah. If you're like kind of personifying an emotion in his story, guilt is the one. Which Benny kind of has a bit of guilt too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think he realizes it's like Gorzer from the start is kind of like a guilt story. This he kind of realizes it's the guilt, but it's more like again, it's as simple as like he can't eat, but I don't know. Like I guess I'm missing maybe the metaphor there.
It could be that deep down he's so guilty that he can't bring himself.
He doesn't realize what he's missing or why he can't stomach. Maybe that's it. Maybe he can't stomach.
That's a good
getting there.
Yeah, that's a good insight. Anything in Benny's story that stands out that I didn't?
That is a fucking Independence Day death beam.
Oh man, that thing's brutal.
That thing. When you go, because you're gonna go and investigate like the sacrifice area, just like debris everywhere and skulls and shit. And it's like, and I think he mentions like it's like the internal monologue, like it seems like a painful death or something. Or no, the kid says it. The kid says it, and then you witness it. You're like, oh shit,
it's brutal. Yeah, it's not what you'd expect at all.
I mean, it's not death by rocks, but man, is it something?
Ellen is inside of a pyramid. And every room is yellow. And she hates yellow.
yellow.
Ellen's is cool because she was a computer engineer, and you end up like you're not doing crazy computer hacking, but it plays into it a bit, right? Like you have to go get specific disks to decrypt, to open doors, to do things. Like that was kind of a neat challenge. I liked too how that one had a lot of like secrets throughout, because you think of it being a pyramid, right? Like it would have those kind of natural hidden entrances and paths and things like that. My favorite part, and this is probably a tiny bit of a spoiler for that, but like the way that it doesn't work all the way for every room, but the first room you go through where you can actually like overcome her fear of yellow is just because she puts on a blindfold and doesn't look at it. Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Ellen's. And again, I think like because Ellen's was my first playthrough, that was the one that stuck out with me where like that kind of defines like, okay, here's what this game is. And hers for me was 100% just fear based. I think the first two definitely guilt, but yeah, Ellen's was fear across the board.
Yeah.
And then we had Nimdoc, who they don't straight up use the exact symbols, but I mean, Nimdoc is very clearly a Nazi surgeon.
I would, surgeon
doctor,
/ scientist, which
he's
can picture what that means if you've played a Wolfenstein game.
Or it's just history, right? Like
just history. I'm just saying. I don't know.
To visualize it, yes.
I guess that's what I was gonna say. Maybe actually, to see some ideas come to fruition.
Yeah,
thank
God.
But
I mean, the real history, like I remember learning about all of that, and that stuff still sticks. Like any imagery like that is always going to stick with you, I think, forever. And then to have it kind of brought to life in this game, like, oh, this is what it, because you can imagine it when you're reading these stories and stuff in school and you're learning about it all, but to actually see it in a game where it's like, oh, these are the experiments they're doing. But I liked that I tried my best to prevent anyone else from being harmed. I tried to make sure I was like freeing anyone I could, all that stuff, throughout my time as Nimdoc. Was that the perfect ending, or was there something else you had to do for the? Not but like his optimum way
it
out.
should end with dude going back to the tribe.
Nimdok?
Yeah. What did you get to escape before it was overrun by the tribe of the local area?
Yeah.
All right. So then you go to that basement and you find dude.
Yep, got it.
And then you have to do a sequence of events, but you get dude back to tribe.
Got it. Okay. All right. Yeah.
But then there should be a kill in there at some point as well.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, we're talking around it. You really should play this if you're listening.
It's interesting. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting.
I think they do some really, really neat stuff with each character's story that I would feel bad ruining. And from what I know of the short story, all of these differ from the actual short story. So even if you've read the Ellison work and you've not played this would be new. The characters are still the same, but they're different from what I saw. Benny is pretty different from what he is in the book itself. Yeah. And then Ted's in a castle. And you gotta use demons and
And not be a womanizer.
Yeah. I ended up liking that part more than I thought. At first, I was kind of like, Ted was the final one I'd played, so at that point, I was not over it. I don't want to say that, but like I did a couple of these back to like some of these I was playing with some time in between, but I think I did Nimdok and Ted back to back in one sitting, so probably like should have taken a break and just let my brain not have to think so hard. So Ted's frustrated me a little bit, where like I was reading the books on the shelf because there was something you could interact with, and I like got through a couple and I was like, all right, I'm good. And like
I did the same thing.
Yeah, you gotta read them all, or you gotta read very specific one.
And then you gotta go back too.
Yeah,
that was the part that got me. I thought I read everything, and then you go back and you discover like more entries, I think, in the one book, or there's
one bookshelf. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something because you see something, and then I think he even says out loud like, "Oh, I think I've seen something like this before," and you go back and But I like that. That was the only one that brought another character into the story.
Yes, yeah, we get to see Ellen there, looking for her mirror while just sort of stuck in bed.
Yeah, that in hindsight, I think this is a very interesting one to start off with because you have that, and then you have the fucking goddamn, talked about Lucifer a couple weeks ago, but fucking devil himself hanging out with us again.
Yeah, true.
Then an angel, like literally left shoulder, right shoulder.
Yeah.
Like there's a witch woman, a demon summoned. It is fucking wild.
You get it all. There's also the maid in there who is very much trying to come on to Ted.
Man, that was a very like no.
Yeah. Okay, you declined as well. Good.
Yeah, I'm not.
You can give in.
I know you can give it. I need
shortcut,
to give it.
But yeah, at what cost?
No, yeah, but that was, I guess, in hindsight, that was a weird one to start off. But no, that was the one where like it got into a castle, walking around, and that was like I started poking at the things, and that's when I got my my head wrapped around the game, but no, you early-ish on, you interact with that woman, and it's very much like she's coming on to you, and it's like, oh, like all right, this game is going here. You had the go in here moment with Ellen, but I kind of got the sense of like, all right, we're not afraid to like go places. Which
yeah, it's not.
I like that in a game. I just feel like there's too many times we go there, then we rewind it back.
No, this was good. I liked it. It did it. Were there any... We've got one more section to talk about technically, but I guess just from these 5, were there any puzzles you found particularly fun to figure out, or anything that you kind of just remember, or that you felt particularly accomplished with?
I really liked, I said it kind of at the top, but I really liked that because I just wanted to see what a bad ending would look like with Nimdok's thing, but it very much ended up being like the correct thing.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
Again, I ran the wrong way. I did it like once I saw the walkthrough and I realized if I could have just went the other way, I would have been fine.
Right.
And that was very cool to see, like, because I thought for sure it was going to be more like you got to tiptoe around security and everything, but no, it was very full frontal.
Yeah.
No, I was probably like my favorite standout moment besides the Independence Day beam. That was a moment.
Was a surprise. I did like the second in Benny's story, when I found the lottery bag by itself and I was like, I'm going to take this thing. Like, I had that instinct before the game kind of pushes you that way. Which ended up screwing me over because I was like trying to put it in the cave. I was trying to do everything ahead of it and I'd missed a couple things, but that was good. And then, there was something with Ellen. I didn't write it down, but it was one of the passwords that she had to put in. Like, I didn't figure out the password, but I figured out like something close to, like, I was like thinking along the same lines of what the game wanted me to do. I don't remember what I remember that feeling.
The password ends up being the year of the event.
Yeah, which, like, you won't know that just inherently, but like, I remember like kind of coming to that conclusion myself. Were there any? Yeah.
I was gonna say, I like that with that moment in particular in Ellen. I like that whole segment from like the first entry to what ends up being the last one, just kind of getting the whole history of her life almost. I thought that was a cool little moment. It was effective in building to what the penultimate event ended up being.
Yeah, I think so. Were there any puzzles or elements of the game that frustrated you?
That fucking shovel, man. I could not find that shovel to save my fucking life. I feel like there's something else. Oh, Nimdocs. I was trying to figure out why I couldn't get the perfect ending for a bit. There was another reason why later, but I was never hiding the eyes.
Oh.
So they would fall out, and I would never have them with me to the second part.
Oh, I didn't realize it was missable. Okay.
Yeah, no. It was very missable. Because your gut is to not go back out the front, is to walk all the way around, and then, like, confront and leave. At least for me, that's how I felt around it. At least, yeah. But no, you very much have to hide those eyes.
I did reload a save on Nimdok because I had, like, screwed myself at some point, just navigating, going through the poster and some stuff there.
And then, of course, there's just talking to the freezer bodies. It's just a tough, like, you have to do something like talk, leave, talk, do something, come back, talk. It's a lot of specific. Like, yeah.
So there's the final stage, so to speak. And in that one, you choose a character of the 5 to play through as. And there's 7 different endings, which I did not realize there were 7 different endings.
That's a lot.
And I don't even remember which one I got now, to be honest.
At this point, I was kind of following guides. I think I wanted to wrap it. I think I was like you. I think I had done 2 prior and then wanted to wrap it. So I was kind of following a guide at that point. So I got what would be, I think, considered a decent ending.
But there's 7 different ones. There's endings where Am wins. There's endings where, humanity's restored. There's different things. I don't want to spoil everything, but there's, But you kind of use the clues from each character to sort of,
Yeah, and then, I think I've said it with the Nimdoc thing about, the perfect run. That's important because you may not have the tool for the end game scenario to, complete a puzzle to thus get a perfect run. So, yeah, there's a lot of... There's definitely the... if you're not playing this in a set amount of time for a podcast, the go through it yourself run and then the play with a walkthrough run, very much a thing. But it's a good game. It's super cheap too. It's like $6 at that.
It's never that expensive. On sale, I think it goes on sale for $1 or $2 at any of the Steam sales. So it's always out there, and it's worth checking out. I guess my last question I have, and of course, if you've got anything else you want to add to it, go for it. But how did the game eventually differ from your initial impression or expectation?
Well, it wasn't a multiplayer game, so let's check that box. No, I kind of went in. I didn't look up anything about the book. I didn't know, and of course, I don't have the manual for this. I didn't look up anything. I just kind of downloaded and then eventually hit play at some point. So I didn't have any of the context of this is World War III or anything post World War III or anything going into the game. It was just kind of cool just to kind of be thrown into this and then just kind of slowly put the pieces together. Dude took over. He's just torturing humanity or what's left of humanity. And these are just punishments, but now they're fighting back in a way.
Yeah, and they do enough in each character's story to sort of slowly introduce more of the background. You don't get it all, but you get enough that you kind of can make sense of who's who, why they're doing what, all that stuff.
And you mentioned at the top that the writer was the voice for Am. And Am is the best character voiced, he has a lot of, or the machine has a lot of good lines. I learned that while playing the game that he
Ellison
was the voice.
Yeah, that's cool. I wouldn't have expected that. Well, I don't have much more to say.
Nah, not without really going into spoilers or anything, which I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
I think we hit the main things of each thing, in my opinion.
I think so. So it is time we rank this. Which listeners, you can check out thefreecheese.com/thelist to see all of the games we've ranked on the list, and we'll see if we can get I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream on the list before I have no voice and cannot scream.
Yeah, what happened? Just long day? Lose it?
Oh, no, I'm sick.
Oh, shit. Well, now I'll do it.
We're at yeah. We're going to make it, though.
I will kick things off. I like this better than the direct comparison, as much of a direct comparison as you're going to get on this list. Shin-Chan.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Snatcher.
Oh, actually. All right. Well, now this is interesting because I think I like Snatcher better.
I like Snatcher better, too. Shoot, but I do like this better than Costume Quest 2. So is this just below Snatcher then?
Maybe. Yeah, because I think I like this better than Proteus. Amplitude is the one in that sector between Shin-Chan. That's a little weird, but I think, right.
Let's do it.
Be? New 50?
New 50. Done and done.
I guess Nature is a more direct comparison than Shin-Chan. I just missed it. It's
No,
easy to see Shin-Chan because it's so long on the list.
No, yeah, that's true. No, we've got it. The new number 50. I have no mouth and I must scream. Thank you very much to Sandeep for submitting that for us to play. Listeners, I think we do have one. We've got some wiggle room. We definitely have one slot right now. So if there's something you would like to nominate for the list, send us an email, podcast@thefreecheese.com.
I'll say it out loud. We have plans for November that can easily be changed to make room.
Yeah, we have stuff that can move. We have literally one blank spot right now that we don't have a thing plugged in yet. So we've got stuff. Let us know. And then keep in mind, we try and keep these games on the shorter side. You know, we try not to exceed high hour counts. So keep that into consideration with your submissions. But we would love to add some more listener submissions to the list. This one was a lot of fun and one that I don't think either of us would have put on the list otherwise.
No, I wouldn't.
So,
I didn't even know this was a game.
Yeah. That's it. That's the episode. Thank you for hanging out with us. Matt, thanks as always. Listener, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week for Syndicate. Stay tuned. Bye.